So it started on a Tuesday night, long after the rest of the world had gone to sleep. I was alone in my small one-bedroom apartment working on a presentation for work. The clock on my laptop read 12:03 a.m. When I first heard it, a faint knock at the door. Knock, knock. I froze, fingers hovering over the keyboard. It was late and I wasn't expecting anyone. Maybe it was a mistake. The delivery guy knocking on the wrong door, I thought. I stayed still, waiting for them to leave. Knock, knock. This time it was louder, insistent. I felt a knot form in my stomach. Who could it be at this hour? I slowly got up from my desk and tiptoed to the door. My apartment building was old, with thin walls and a dimly lit hallway. I pressed my eye to the peephole, and no one was there. I stared for a moment, waiting for something, anything. But the hallway was empty, the air heavy with silence. I shook my head, trying to brush off the unease creeping up my spine. Maybe it was just kids playing a prank. I locked the door, double-checked it, and went back to my desk. The knock didn't come again, and after a while, I convinced myself it was nothing, and I moved myself away. It was annoying to wake myself up. And then, of course, it didn't. It happened again. And the next night, it happened again. Knock, knock. It was exactly 12:03 a.m. I checked the time on my laptop to be sure. The knock was identical. 2 sharp raps, evenly spaced. My heart pounded as I crept to the door, the hardwood floor creaking under my feet. I peered through the peephole again. Nothing. The hallway was empty, just like before. I opened the door a crack, the chain still latched, and peeked out. The corridor stretched out in both directions, dim and silent. There was no one there. I shut the door quickly, my hands trembling. Something about it felt off, too precise, too deliberate. The third night, I was prepared. I stayed up, sitting by the door with the lights off. A heavy flashlight was clutched in my hand, and my phone was ready to call the police. Midnight came and went, and I started to think maybe it was over. But at 12:03 a.m., it happened again. Knock, knock. I jumped, gripping the flashlight tightly. My pulse raced as I leaned forward, staring at the door. I didn't move, didn't breathe, just listened. The sound was the same, 2 sharp knocks. Perfectly timed. This time, I didn't look through the peephole. Instead, I whispered through the door, "Who's there?" No response. I tried again, louder this time. "Who is it? What do you want?" The silence stretched on, oppressive and thick. My chest tightened as I waited for an answer, but none came. After a few minutes, I heard faint footsteps, slow and deliberate, fading down the hallway. The next morning, I went to the building manager. I told him about the knocks, about the footsteps, and asked if there were cameras in the hall. He gave me a puzzled look. "No cameras, sorry," he said. "But you're sure someone's knocking? You're on the top floor. Not many people wander up there." I nodded, frustration bubbling up. "I'm not imagining it. It's happened 3 nights in a row. Can't you check who's been in the building?" "Yeah." That night, I almost didn't stay home. I thought about crashing at a friend's place, but something made me stay. I wanted to know what was happening. I needed answers. At 12:83 a.m., the knocks came again. Knock, knock. This time, I didn't hesitate. I flung the door open, flashlight in hand, ready to confront whoever or whatever was on the other side. The hallway was empty, but something was different this time. Just outside my door, on the floor, was an envelope. It was plain, unmarked, and sealed. My hands shook as I picked it up and tore it open. Inside was a single sheet of paper with one sentence scrawled in messy handwriting. Stop looking for me. Stared at the note, my mind racing. Who had left it? What did it mean? Um, I stepped out into the hallway, looking left and right, but there was no sign of anyone. I barely slept that night. Over the next few days, the knocks stopped, but the paranoia didn't. I kept the note on my desk, reading and rereading it, trying to make sense of it. I started noticing small things, shadows moving where they shouldn't, faint noises in the apartment above me, even though it had been vacant for months. And then one night, as I was lying in bed, I heard it again, knock, knock. But this time it wasn't at the door, it was coming from inside the apartment. I froze, my breath catching in my throat. The sound was faint but unmistakable. Two sharp knocks, this time on the wall near my bed. It disconnected and all powerful again. I didn't move, I didn't breathe. And then I heard the faintest whisper, so close, it felt like it was right next to me. You should have stopped. The next morning, I packed my things and left. I didn't tell anyone why. I didn't care about the lease or my belongings. I just needed to get out. Even now, in my new apartment, miles away from that building, I can't shake the feeling that I'm not alone. Um, Sometimes in the quiet of the night, I still hear it. Knock, knock.